Hello, everybody. My name is Grant, and I'm on a mission to watch every movie ever made. If that is something that you are interested in, then you are in the right place. For a lot of movie fans, this is the most exciting time of the year because we are finally getting last year's Oscars. We are so close to finding out what does Hollywood believe was the best movie of 2025. We have 10 nominations from all different kinds of genres, from different countries from around the world. But what if the Academy got it wrong? What if five of these movies had to be completely replaced? I'm talking gone, not nominated for Best Picture. Who would I put up there instead? So I'm playing a little game today. I'm going to play Keep Five, Replace Five. I'm going to tell you guys exactly which of the Best Picture nominees I think should stay and which ones I think need to be replaced. Now, this is just my list, and I understand. I like a very particular kind of movie, and so there are some Best Picture nominees that I'm going to keep that you guys would replace in a heartbeat. But let's go through the list just based in alphabetical order and figure out, does this deserve to be a Best Picture nominee? And if I had to replace five of them, what would I put up there instead? Coming in first place alphabetically, the Academy has nominated Yorgos Lanthimos' Bugonia for Best Picture. Now, this is a weird, offbeat, uncomfortable movie about a mentally ill man played by Jesse Plemons who kidnaps an executive played by Emma Stone, and he thinks she's an alien. And so he's willing to torture her and do whatever he needs to do to make sure she admits it, brings him to her alien ship, and saves the world. Now, a lot of people out there love Bugonia, and I admit it was a very well made movie. All right, it was a remake of an early 2000s South Korean movie called Save the Green Planet. And I admit that's very interesting. But can I say I loved Begonia? No, I cannot. I actually found Begonia to be pretty uncomfortable to watch. I found it to be pretty depressing to watch. And I think there are better movies out there. And I think there's one movie that was actually already nominated for another Oscar that bears so many similarities to Begonia that it just deserves to be up there in the Best Picture spot instead. This is a reimagining of a story from another country a long time ago. It is brutal and depressing and bleak. It is grisly. It is quite honestly one of the nastiest movies I saw last year. If the Academy just wanted something that looked truly strange, visually iconic, I think there was a better movie. Instead of Bugonia, give me The Ugly Stepsister as a Best Picture nominee. The Academy was bold enough to give a Norwegian slash Dutch horror movie a makeup and hairstyling Oscar nomination. You know what I think? Put it in for Best Picture. Give horror fans just a little bit more of an edge this year. Give us something so insane and weird and creepy that nobody could possibly avoid having to ask the question. You put The Ugly Stepsister in for Best Picture, this would drive people crazy. Everybody would be talking about The Ugly Stepsister being one of the 10 best movies of 2025. The Academy had the confidence to put some of these other movies in here and really embrace horror this year, let's just go a step further. Give me The Ugly Stepsister as our first Best Picture nominee. Second on that list, I've got F1 alphabetically. And I will be honest with you guys, at 25 years old, I am about as much of a dad movie connoisseur as you can get. I loved F1. It is one of my favorite movies of 2025. There is something about the sound and the way this movie is shot that just sucks you right into a sport that a lot of people don't have a lot of experience in. Racing and F1 racing in particular is a breakneck, exhilarating time to watch. And Brad Pitt is one of Hollywood's biggest stars right now, and he has been for decades. A lot of people think F1 is the odd man out in this Best Picture running. Why did they give a regular blockbuster movie a nomination for Best Picture when that is usually held for these different art house movies? You know, you have Hamnet, you have Sentimental Value, you have Bugonia, which I've already replaced with The Ugly Stepsister. So I'm going to do something even crazier than I just did. Even crazier than replacing Bugonia with The Ugly Stepsister, even crazier than some of the decisions that you'll see later in this list. F1 deserves to be on this list, and I'm going to keep it there. F1 Best Picture nominee number 2. Coming in third place, none other than Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Now, if you've seen my video on the different Frankenstein adaptations I watched, you already know this was another one of my favorite movies of 2025, even higher than F1. In fact, it was my second favorite movie of the year. My favorite movie of the year we'll actually get to a little bit later in this list. But it was my second favorite movie of the year. I loved Frankenstein. It's gothic horror and teetering on romantic gothic genres. Just absolutely captured me. The imagery in this movie is beautiful. Everything about this movie is just absolutely gorgeous. I think Frankenstein is one of the prettiest movies of 2025, and just am so happy that it's getting the recognition, not just in Best Picture, but in all of the technical categories it deserves. I love Frankenstein. I think Guillermo del Toro did a fantastic job making this movie. So, does it deserve to be in Best Picture? You know, we have The Ugly Stepsister in here now. We have F1. Does Frankenstein deserve to be up there with the likes of these movies and the likes of some of the movies later on down this list? And to be honest, I actually thought about this one for a good bit. It is my favorite of the Best Picture nominees, but I was thinking to myself, does Guillermo del Toro really deserve another Best Picture movie right now? Or should we give it to somebody that doesn't have one yet? And then I just kind of thought, why not? Why not lean into it and give him another Best Picture nominee and another Best Picture win? We should have nominated Pinocchio last year for Best Picture. We should have nominated everything back from Kronos. Let's keep going and give Guillermo del Toro another nomination for Best Picture. Let's keep Frankenstein in there as my third choice for Best Picture this year. And now we've made it to Hamnet. Hamnet is an incredibly tragic and moving story of a mother's loss and how that inspired one of the greatest writers of the entire history of mankind to write a famous story that has just been a testament through the ages of loss and grief and love. Hamnet is incredible, and it is so incredibly sweet to see a movie that just pours out so much love and recognizes the grief that parents have and that families have when dealing with tragedy. I love Hamnet, but that said, if I have to replace 5 of these movies, and I've already kept 2 of them, then I have to start thinking pretty seriously. Should Hamnet stay or should Hamnet go? And so I'm actually going to give you guys my reasoning. Why should Hamnet be replaced with a near identical movie? And you guys may not see the vision. You may not see the vision, but hold on. Listen to me. Both of these are movies about grief and about legacy and about dealing with tragedy, whether that is on a small family level in Hamnet or a large scale national level, and how it impacts individual families in My Replacement for Hamnet. Stay with me. Don't click off the video when you hear this. 28 years later. Give me 28 years later a zombie movie as our nomination for Best Picture. You want to talk about a movie that understands grief and how loss impacts all different kinds of people? Give me 28 years later as our second replacement for Best Picture. In fifth place, alphabetically, is Marty Supreme, directed by Josh Safdie and starring Timothy Chalamet and Odessa Zion. This movie is a 2.5 hour anxiety attack from beginning to end. You feel like you are just completely stressed out watching this terrible, narcissistic nobody ruin the lives of everybody around him to try and make it to the top. That top happens to be a ping pong tournament hosted in Japan. This movie is incredibly strange in who it chooses to just have in here. I think it is one of the craziest decisions that Hollywood has made and that Safdie made, putting Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank into this movie as a major character. You have him saying incredibly crazy lines like, I was born in 1601, I'm a vampire. This is a weird movie. It is incredibly strange. That said, it is one of the best movies on this list. And if anybody deserves a Best Picture nomination, I do think Josh Safdie has earned it. I think this movie does a great job at just keeping you confused the entire time. At no point do you know what's going to happen next. And it really does stand up there as one of the strangest and most exhilarating and best movies of 2025. So, this early in the list, I'm already going to use my third keep to put Marty Supreme on that list. Officially over halfway through the Best Picture nominees. Next up, we have One Battle After Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Chase Infinity, Teyana Taylor, Sean Penn. You have a stellar cast right here. Okay? And if we were talking about best casting, we would have no questions in our minds. But we're talking about Best Picture, and I have already kept 3 movies and I've only replaced 2. Does One Battle After Another deserve to be on this list? Was One Battle After Another one of the best pictures of last year? Was it one of those movies that we just can't possibly replace with something else? Well, let's be honest. While I played around with the idea of putting something else in this place, I could never take away what PTA has earned here. He deserves to not only get nominated for this. But if there's anybody that deserves to win Best Directing and Best Picture, it is the man who has been told time and time again, you're so close, but you're not quite there. We are early in this list, and so I'm giving myself a pretty hard time by keeping One Battle After Another. But that is absolutely what I am going to do. Which means I'm going to have to make some pretty hard decisions later on. But give me One Battle After Another to keep on that list. Up next, we have The Secret Agent, a movie directed and shot in Brazil. So we have a Brazilian feature here about a man played by Wagner Moura, who is a professor that has been deemed a communist by the fascist government. And so he's hiding out in Recife, trying to escape the oppressive government and survive in a really tense political thriller that does tend to rely on the brakes a little too heavily. And I have seen a lot of criticism coming from different places that while this is a fantastic movie and does deserve a Best Picture nominee, it is incredibly slow. At almost 3 hours long, this movie just goes on through this mystery and this thriller of trying to see if this man, played by Wagner Moura, will survive. And so, with only one option for me to keep on this list left, I have to think pretty seriously, am I going to keep the secret agent or am I going to replace it? And unfortunately, I am going to replace the secret agent. But let me tell you why. I believe in 2025, there was a better movie all about secrets and deception and mystery. In the place of the secret agent, give me Wake Up Dead Man, directed by Ryan Johnson, starring Daniel Craig and Josh O'Connor. If you want to talk about a movie that is just truly intriguing and full of secrets, I want Wake Up Dead Man to get some kind of nomination and some kind of acclaim. This movie is layered and steeped in mystery, and I adored seeing this in theaters. At the very end of the year, it just made it in to be considered for the best pictures. Let's give it its credit. Let's give Ryan Johnson his dues. Give me Wake Up Dead Man instead of The Secret Agent. At number 8 alphabetically is Sentimental Value, the Norwegian movie starring Stellan Skarsgård as a former director that is trying to make his comeback and connect with his two daughters, but when they don't want anything to do with him, he instead finds an American actor to do the job for them, played by Elle Fanning. Now, Sentimental Value is an incredibly well made movie. The shots are beautiful, the emotion is raw and sincere. I really enjoyed getting to see Sentimental Value, but I will be honest, it was one of the easiest movies for me to decide to replace. I think Sentimental Value has its merit, and I'm happy that it's nominated for Best Picture. But there is a movie that I would put there instead. Another movie about an American actor in a foreign land trying to find their place alongside themes of family and emotional connection. You may already know where I'm going with this, but if not, I'm going to replace Sentimental Value with Rental Family for what I believe is one of the best movies of 2025. Rental Family stars Brendan Fraser as an American actor in Japan as he becomes part of this company of rental family, which is a real Japanese thing where these people will be actors that will pretend to be family members of random strangers. So Brendan Fraser has to pretend to be a dad to this young child so that she can get into a nice fancy private school, and she doesn't know that he's pretending. She thinks he's her real father that has returned after being abroad for her entire life, and they form a real connection. And so there's a sense of discomfort that sits in this entire movie. Is it okay what Brendan Fraser and this company is doing? And really, this movie plays it so well. They treat this with so much sincerity and really dedicate their time to figuring out, are rental families okay? Is this something that should exist in Japan? And what does it really say about the culture and identity of who Japan is as a country, as a whole? Rental Family is another very raw and sincere exploration of what it means to be family and what it means to make connections with people that you may not actually be related to. So, while I am sad to see Sentimental Value go, give me Rental Family in its place, and I think I'll be pretty happy. So, with a couple of replacements knocked out, we come down to the final two movies nominated for Best Picture in 2025. We have Sinners and we have Train Dreams. And unfortunately, only one of those movies can stay. So, who did it better? Which of these two movies deserves to stay on this list and earn a coveted spot on my list of Best Picture nominees? Well, if you've been following my list, I'm sure it might not come as much of a surprise to you. I love horror, and I want it to be four. Give me four movies in the best picture running. If I have to keep one of these movies, I'm of course going to keep Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler. Sinners is the movie that everybody has been talking about. If there's any movie that has the potential of beating One Battle After Another for winning this Oscar, it is Sinners. It is a moving exploration of Black culture in the United States that uses vampires of all things as a metaphor for assimilation. And I just love the fact that there's a vampire movie in the Best Picture running. Okay? We have vampires here. And if I had it my way, as you've seen on this list, we'd also have zombies up there. So I don't see a better reason to keep Sinners up there. You have all this exploration of culture and identity and music and how music impacts generations and just truly transcends time. But you also have some pretty awesome vampire sequences. And so if I'm putting 28 years later up there instead of Hamnet, I want Sinners right up there alongside it. So I'm going to keep Sinners on my list, which unfortunately means that I'm going to have to replace Train Dreams, which is sad because I really enjoyed Train Dreams. I found Train Dreams to be one of the most beautifully shot movies of 2025. The way that it treats these trees that the loggers have to cut down as monoliths, and the camera has you just truly looking up into the expanse of these forests that we slowly see slip away over time. I thought Train Dreams was a gorgeous piece of work. And so I'm really sad to see it go. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I can only keep 5. And if you've done the math as I have, I've kept my 5, which means Train Dreams has to go. Thankfully, this means that I can instead have my favorite movie of 2025 on this list. And believe it or not, there's actually a very good reason why I can replace Train Dreams with my favorite movie of 2025. Both of them are these long, reflective character studies that just go through the passage of time and what a man's life is worth and what it really means. Whether that is Joel Edgerton or, quite simply put, the life of Chuck. Give me the life of Chuck as the 10th Best Picture nominee this year. An incredibly moving story told in reverse chronological order about the weight of a man's soul, what it means to be human, and what it means to die. The life of Chuck just truly goes through it all as we see this man at the end, middle, and beginning of his life. How does Chuck reconcile the fact that one day he is going to die? What does it mean that that's okay? If you haven't seen The Life of Chuck, not only is it coming onto this list as one of my Best Picture nominees, it is also my favorite movie of 2025 and one of my favorite movies of the 2020s in general. I love this movie. I think it is absolutely perfect. And I do mean that genuinely. When I scored this movie, I gave it a perfect 100 out of 100. Mike Flanagan has earned a perfect score out of me. And if he doesn't deserve a Best Picture nominee, who does? So that's my list. I have replaced 5 of the Best Picture nominees and kept 5 to form a brand new list of Best Picture nominees for the year of 2025. Tell me what you think. Are there movies on this list that you agree with me and think did deserve a Best Picture nomination? Are there movies that you just can't possibly believe that I would put up here or that I would keep? I know I'm crazy for still having F1 here on the end of the list. Tell me if you think I'm crazy too. I would love to know. And most importantly, I want to know, what would you do if you had to replace 5 of the Best Picture nominees? What are you doing? How are you figuring this out to make sure that 2025 still has the cream of the crop at the top of its list at the end of the year? Put it in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day.